Hey everybody, David here, and today I want to talk about Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 2. This was on Batwoman's series today. Look, yesterday I thought the first part of the episode was pretty good. This episode I think is the one fans were kind of more hoping for, what they were looking for in the first part. But the second part is the one that really gives us the characters that we know interacting with other characters from other Earths, while meanwhile setting up the Anti-Monitor at the same time. And what about that shocker from the end of the last episode also? We'll get into that first. So if you don't remember, spoiler alert for anybody that hasn't seen, if you haven't seen this episode yet, go check it out now, and then come back here and talk about it with me if you want, or I'll just be talking to the void. Doesn't really matter. The last episode ends with Oliver Queen dying, and the heroes are grieving. Specifically, we see Kara, Sarah, and Kate all having a drink together. Kate is not as familiar with Oliver as everybody else is, but she's there to support everybody. Obviously, they go and talk to the Monitor, who is prepping the team, telling them that, look, we're going to need a couple more people to help us against the Anti-Monitor. Oliver, he actually states that died actually earlier than it was being expected. And so, okay, who do they need? They obviously need another Kryptonian, because one Superman isn't going to be enough for this fight, and they're going to need a Dark Knight. They didn't say that specifically. I forgot what the phrase was that kind of hinted at the Dark Knight, but yes, they're going to need a Dark Knight. And so they split up into two teams, while Sarah, Barry, Constantine, and Mia decide to go find a way to figure out how to bring Oliver, okay, I'll start with this plot line first. Them going back in time to find a Lazarus pit to bring back Oliver. I was fine with the storyline, but I'll admit it was probably my least favorite, because Jonah Hex is the character that they run into back in time. And it is kind of cool that we see how he gets the scar in the Arrowverse. He gets it because Mia cuts him. Or was it Sarah? I don't remember now. But anyways, one of them cut him across the face and knock him out. I thought it was a weird way to bring him into the crossover, but okay, fine. The interesting thing is that when they put Oliver into the Lazarus pit, he comes out, they have to knock him out, and then Constantine tries to bring back his soul. Now, obviously he's done this with Sarah. The problem is when he tries to do it, he is not able to. I believe he said something about the antimatter because it was lowering his power or something. So I thought that was interesting, and now I guess we're going to have to see them try to control an uncontrolled Oliver, which will be interesting for the next episode to deal with. I think the other two storylines were a little bit more fun this week. Starting with the Superman storyline, where Superman, Lois, and Iris have to go and look for this other Kryptonian. And they run into two Kryptonians, of course. The first one being... Actually, they first go to one of the Earths where they're a little bit too late, because Lex is also brought on board. We saw that a little snippet of that in last week's episode, where Lex is sent to go... Oh no, he just escapes with the book that was given to one of the bad guys last season. He escapes to go and kill every Superman across the multiverse. And the first Earth that they go to, I forgot what Earth number it was, but they're a little bit too late, and that Superman is already killed. So the next Earth they go to is the Earth where Clark Kent from Smallville comes. And it's interesting because everybody is excited about seeing Tom Welling back as Clark Kent. But the way they portray him is not the way you're probably hoping. But I had mixed feelings about it at first, but the more I thought about it, the more I thought, you know what, it was a nice, cute way of bringing him back, while still maintaining what Smallville was all about in a way. We learned that his Clark had, after Lex comes and zaps Superman, Lois, and Iris away, which I thought was very abrupt. I think what happens is Lex gets out the kryptonite, and it's revealed that Clark had given away his powers. And I thought that was interesting because the Clark Kent in Smallville would never give up his powers, especially when he knows the world is going to need him. But when you think about it in hindsight, I mean, there were a lot of heroes already established towards the end of Smallville. There was Green Arrow, there was Aquaman, there was Bart Allen as the Flash, there was Cyborg. There were all those heroes that, for sure, if you read the comic book Smallville, obviously there was a lot more in that came along afterwards too. Smallville season 11, there was a comic book of that introduced Batman and Wonder Woman as well, and Green Lantern, etc. So maybe the world by that point, from where Smallville last ended, he had his run as a hero, and then he realized, you know what, it's time for me to settle down, have kids, and make peace with my life, and let these other heroes, the next generation of heroes, take over from where I left off. And that's fine. And if that's what Tom Welling was happy with, then so be it. And it was a nice little scene, especially when he punched Lex. So I thought it was a good way to have a cameo, and it wasn't wasted. It was a nice cameo for the fans that loved Smallville. And remember, he was never Superman. He was always Clark Kent, becoming Superman, and now this is his life after his retirement. So he had maybe a good 10-year run, right? Because I think it flashed forward 10 years, and Lex is president by this point. Remember, in the future, in the epilogue of Smallville, in the finale, it was revealed that Lex was president. So them having him still president actually fits, because the year where that epilogue took place was 2018. So this takes place a year after that little epilogue. So Lois and Clark are already married. It actually fits pretty nicely, I thought. So there you go on that. Think about that, guys. If you were a little angry about that Smallville moment, think about it that way. That, you know what? Yeah, okay. He was Clark Kent for 10 years, maybe more or less. So it's a nice little wrap up. He deserves some retirement. He got married to Lois finally, and has 2 kids. Bravo for him. So then the next Superman they go to is Brandon Routh as Superman from Superman Returns, and we learn some tragic news from him. Even though he's still that happy-go-lucky Clark, he seems to be grieving at the same time and hiding that grievance under those glasses, because we learn that a maniac from Gotham apparently came. I'm guessing they were implying that was the Joker. He calls it a reject from Gotham, unless that was the character's name. I don't know any villain called the Reject, but he said the Reject from Gotham came, and I think he said some sort of gas that killed everybody in the planet. So Lois, Jimmy, and Perry are all dead. I thought that was an interesting take, but he was still the Superman that we knew, and I thought it was interesting also the Earth that this Superman came from. He came from Earth 96. Now remember, some of the Earths haven't really matched like the year they came out in. Like Earth 9 was for the Titans. But some of the Earths have matched the year that the show or the movie came out in. For an example, Batman 1989 was Earth 89, right? And then you got Batman 66 was Earth 66. And so this one they decided to go with Earth 96, and at first I was like, wait, Superman Returns didn't come out in 2006, so they probably didn't want to pick '06 or Earth 6, and Superman Christopher Reeve, which Superman Returns was sort of connected to, came out in 1978, so it wasn't Earth 78. So why pick 96? And then I realized Superman the Animated Series came out in 1996. Now, maybe this is me stretching it a little bit, and maybe it's not meant, maybe it's just a coincidence Earth 96, but it could have been the Superman the animated series reference in a way, because that show was kind of inspired by Batman the animated series, which I'll get to next. It was also inspired by Superman the movie, right? There was some inspirations that leaked into that version of Superman. So I can see it being an in-betweener in between those two movies, that maybe that's why they named it Earth 96. Just a feeling. So other than that, yeah, I really did love seeing Brandon Routh back as Superman. It was such a great moment. We even got a little fight going on between Tyler Hoechlin and Brandon Routh, which I thought was pretty cool. Which Superman was stronger? I'm going to bet it looked like Brandon Routh was the stronger Superman. And by the way, Tom Welling and Brandon Routh just tower over Tyler Hoechlin. I have grown to really like Tyler Hoechlin ever since his first appearance. And remember, I was someone that was against him when he was first announced. Obviously, he proved his worthiness to me, and yes, I do think he's a great Superman. But man, Tom Welling and Brandon Routh are just so much taller than him. He must be intimidated by both of them. No, not really. But anyways, so that was cool. We got two great Supermans. It looks like Brandon Routh is sticking around as his Superman, so I'm really excited to see a little bit more from his his character there. It was cool having him meet Ray Palmer at the same time in the Time Rider, the Wave Rider. Sorry. Oh, speaking of the Wave Rider, we got Mick also in this episode, but it's not the Mick that we know. It's a Mick from another Earth where on his Earth the legends have retired and he's the only legend left. He decided to stay on the ship. Why? Well, because it looks like Snart has become the ship's Gideon, which I thought it was cool that they got Wentworth Miller to return as the voice of Snart or Gideon. I don't know which is he, Snart, Gideon. I have no idea, but he's both combined. So that was a nice little way of getting that little reunion to come back, to have a Mick from another Earth that just likes to write novels just like the other one. So yeah, that was really cool. And finally, Kevin Conroy back, but not voicing Bruce Wayne. He's playing Bruce Wayne, a crippled Bruce Wayne, who we find out is actually not a nice Bruce, but a crazy Bruce that breaks his own code. He's killed a lot of people after many years of being grumpy, I guess, in his Batcave. And yesterday I said it's funny that none of Batwoman's cast members have been included aside from her. Well, it looks like we get a alternate version of Luke Fox. So I was wrong about that. Some of her cast is being included into the crossover, which is pretty cool. And I like that this one was more. They added how he had abs and how he was more of a douchebag. So that was interesting. And we learned also that Kevin Conroy's Bruce Wayne killed the Clark Kent of that Earth, or the Superman of that Earth, because he didn't trust Superman because he was from another planet, which I thought was crazy. Another thing that people have pointed out was how this Bruce Wayne was from the future and from Earth 99. For those of you that don't know, Batman Beyond came out in 1999. So there you go, another animated series reference that's connected to Batman the Animated Series. Yeah, so look, I thought this episode was great, much better than yesterday, the previous episode, yeah, much better than part 1 of the Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover. Definitely, I hope we get a little bit more of this in the Flash's episode. I won't be able to review Flash's episode until Thursday when Netflix puts it up, unless iTunes or Netflix surprises me and puts it up a little bit earlier. But the way they do it, because I don't have cable, the way they do it is they put it up 2 days after it airs. So I might have to wait Thursday or Friday the latest. I hope not. So I will review part 3 when I get that chance. But right now you have this video, which is going on longer than it should. So I'm going to wrap this up here, guys. What did you think of Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 2? Is there something that I should have talked about that I didn't? Or did I cover all the basics that I think needed to be covered? I thought it was a really good episode, and I can't wait to see some of the other cameos tonight. When I get that chance, I can't wait to see who else. We know some of the other characters that are have been announced and some that have been rumored. So I'm looking forward to seeing a couple more surprises and seeing how those interactions are, because I think it's the interactions like this episode gave us that we want more of. And I think we're going to get more of that in the next upcoming episodes. And obviously we got the Anti-Monitor showing up at the very end here too, who is played by the same actor who plays the Monitor. So looking forward to it. Can't wait to see how the next 3 episodes are going to show up, especially Flash. Until next time, everybody, I'm going to shut up now. Take care.